Hey guys, and welcome back to the Pilot Factored. So now that we've covered nutrition, the next big aspect of how to fuel our body properly and keep it running well will be hydration. Especially in a cabin environment, in a pressurized vessel like an airplane, where there's a lot less water in the air, hydration is primordial to our performance. Um, and that being said, whether you're up there in an airplane or trying to do anything else like that requires high performance, whether it's mental performance or physical performance, hydration is a lifeline to your performance. To understand how important hydration is to us, let's look at it in quantitative terms. Our bodies are made up of 60% water. Water is required, therefore, for every essential function in our bodies. Okay, and that includes but not stops at blood, brain function, muscle movement, skin, eyesight, and even like lips. You can think of like those dry lips that you get in the winter because of like the heat that's being pumped out that's very dry in the house, stuff like that. Um, so men and women, as always, typically have different needs when it comes to, for in our case, hydration. Men, in average, will require an intake of about 13 cups of water a day, or that's about 3 liters of liquid to maintain proper hydration levels, whereas women are looking at about 9 cups or 2.2 liters of liquid to maintain proper hydration levels. Okay, so to understand hydration, we need to first understand really how much can be absorbed and by the body and how much also goes out, okay? Because without understanding these metrics, hydration just means, well, drinking water, but yeah, but how much, how often? This is what we're going to explore. So on average, you lose about 1 liter of water, so that's about 2 pounds per hour of exercise, okay? So you're out running, biking, working out in any way, shape, or form. Um, just take that as an average. 1 liter of water per hour is lost. Now, your body inversely, in the most extreme heat and humidity condition, like like dry conditions, your body can at most absorb 1 liter of water per hour. So we see here there's a little bit of a discrepancy because you're not working out, you know, in the desert or whatever. Typically, like you're working out in fairly ideal condition, let's say. Um, but inversely, you lose that 1 liter of water fairly easily. It's pretty hard to bring it back in. Okay, your body cannot take it in as fast as you lose it, basically. So on average, you can absorb about 500 milliliter of water per hour. So that's about half of that, like extreme case scenario. So think of about one bottle of water, one of those little plastic bottles of water. This is how much water your body can absorb per hour. So drinking more than that just goes to waste. Um, Hydration is often dependent on climate, okay? In an aircraft, they're specifically designed to remove excess moisture. The pressurization system takes out all the moisture and will only reuse a fragment of it, a fraction of it, to like cool down the cabin, for example. But mostly the average human feels comfortable in an environment with between 40 to 60% humidity. Your average cabin in an aircraft maintains humidity levels of 10 to 20%. Um, Same thing, as we rise in altitude, the atmosphere becomes thinner, pressure decreases, and the atmosphere is unable to hold water vapor. That means the reduced moisture in the atmosphere creates a drier environment. So because of that, even we're flying around, it's pretty easy to see that we're lacking a lot in moisture and water already in the air that we breathe. Now, even the slightest level of dehydration reduces biological functions and overall performance. A 5% loss of body weight in water will bring on headaches, irritability, and fatigue, for example. Now, there are a few things that we can do to help ourselves stay ahead of the curve, okay? Because as we saw, sometimes it's not possible to keep up with dehydration levels, like the speed at which we get dehydrated. So sometimes we have to plan and be ready and start thinking in advance. So hydration should always be considered well before flight. If you start hydrating once you start flying, you're already behind the curve. In flight, as we saw, you can't just go on drinking like chugging down a liter, like of water every half hour or hour. You need to be methodical about this. Drink small amounts frequently, because ingesting a big amount, in a sitting really won't help you. You'll just go and pee it all out, and that is true, throughout your day, no matter whether you're flying or other things. Just being mindful of always taking in small amounts of water frequently will help you a lot. Managing your hydrations, as we said, even in extreme heat and humidity conditions, like where your body is put under stress, you can only absorb 1 liter of water per hour. On average, really though, you'll be able to absorb that small bottle of water, between 475 to 500 milliliter in an hour. So be mindful of that. So what I like to do is set a little alarm reminder every hour and drink 1 bottle of water per hour I'm flying. Rule of thumb, often dehydration is associated with thirst, but really once you become thirsty, you already, it's the first stage and you're on your way to worse dehydration than that. So again, if you're feeling thirsty, you are already dehydrated. This is the first stage. So a big rule of thumb is POP, C-P-O-P-C, okay? So POPC, or P often, P clear. This is even a rule that my children know. They know that hydration means, they can gauge their own hydration that way. And it's to me, it's a good visual. It's funny to talk about this way, but really, it is a very good visual representation of your hydration level. Okay, so we talked about thirsty. You're feeling thirsty, you're already dehydrated, and that means you've only lost about 2 to 3% of your water weight now in the body. Thirst is also accompanied by loss in heat regulation, and declining performance already. So just to have an idea, if you weigh 175 pounds and you lose 5 pounds in a water weight, that would be your 3% water loss. So again, 1 pound of water is about the equivalent of your average 500 milliliter water bottle. So just use that as a picture. You've lost 5 pounds. It means you've lost the equivalent already of 5 water bottles. And that's when you start feeling thirsty, right? So that's already 5 pounds of water gone. Headache, 5 to 6% dehydration. If you start getting a headache from dehydration, you're already fairly far gone. Headache, irritability, feeling spaced out. Um, this is a fairly severe, I would say, type of dehydration if you start having headaches from it. And you'll see physical weakness. You won't be able to do much. You'll feel weak, and you'll have severe loss of heat regulation. So in an airplane, which is typically kept pretty cold, you'll also start feeling cold like all the time, like much colder than typical. So again, that 2 to 3% you start feeling thirsty is a good place to stop it right there in its track, because once you get to that headache stage, you're very far gone. 7% already we see you're at a collapse. Okay, we've just only doubled from that 3% to that 7%, more or less doubled our dehydration level, but you've gone from thirsty to collapsed. You're unable to continue any physical exercise or mental processes. And if we keep that case of a 175-pound body, we've gone from 5 pounds to 10 pounds or 11 pounds of water gone already. That's pretty substantial. 10% of your body weight loss in water, you're comatose, likely death over 11%. So hydration is critical, not just to your performance, but to your life. So there's a few tips that we can use to stay hydrated. Pre-flight, again, we start before the flight thinking about hydration. Put water around the cockpit. Having water next to you will be a reminder to drink it. Keep the empty bottles near you to, keep a count of how much you've drank. And like I said, set an alert for every hour, hour and a half to get up, stretch, and get some more water. If you're not a big like water drinker, if you are like, okay, don't go like all out right now and say, okay, I'm going to drink a gallon of water right away. No, your body needs time to adapt. If you're not doing so already, you'll have to give it time to get used to it. If your body is used to being in constant state of dehydration, it's not going to like having a ton of water being added right away. So go slow, for the first 2-3 days, increase your daily intake by the equivalent of 1 to 2 bottles of water. Now, I'm not telling you to go and buy a ton of plastic water bottles, use reusable water bottles or something that helps you measure out your water intake, okay? Let's be responsible about this. And then continue to add an additional 1 or 2 water bottles every day until you have reached the optimum level of hydration. Remember, that is 13 cups of water for a man and 9 cups of water for a woman. So that's between 3 liters for a man, 2.2 liters for a woman. Um, Track your water intake. You can use a mobile app, for example. A lot of smartwatches allow you to do so. So if you don't want to have a pile of plastic water bottle next to you, use something like this that'll help you track it. Again, if you are traveling with a reusable or refillable water bottle, most hotels will offer like a sort of a water dispenser in the lobby or in the gym that helps you keep hydrated with clean water. Okay. A little bit more about the science of hydration here. Water isn't only H2O. It often contains a lot of things that we need for the body to function properly, a lot of minerals that are called electrolytes. Electrolytes are chemical micronutrients that conduct electricity when mixed with water. So they're not your vitamin A, B, C, D kind of things. They're chemical micronutrients. Here we're talking about potassium, chloride, sodium, magnesium, calcium, all words you've used and heard before. They're used to balance fluids in your body, okay, and keep the levels where they should be. They maintain your blood's proper pH level. They carry electrical signal to power your nerves and muscles. They're extremely important for your body. All right, so speaking of drinking, obviously there's a lot more than we drink than water. And one of the most conspicuous ingredients here would be alcohol. If you remember when we talked about macronutrients, we mentioned alcohol as one of those, as the fourth macronutrients. And that is because it does indeed pack 7 calories per gram of alcohol. So, which means we get some quote unquote energy from it, but really it's empty energy. There's nothing there to fuel our body. So it goes straight to fat. Um, One of the big things that we need to understand is that excess alcohol consumption causes dehydration. It decreases the body's ability to produce the antidiuretic hormones, or ADH, which is used by the body to reabsorb water. So that's why, you get parched when you drink a lot, and why also it is really important to stay hydrated even if you're enjoying a glass or two of alcohol. Um, it takes the average person 1 hour to break down 10 grams of alcohol. So how many calories would that be? 70 calories of alcohol. 10 grams of alcohol is considered to be a serving. That would be, for example, one beer would equal to 23 grams of alcohol. I'm sorry. 10 grams of alcohol is not a serving. It's just a measurement, that we use to kind of quantify things. So one drink is what most health officials would consider, your serving. Two drinks for a man, one drink for a woman per day. So here, if we look at a couple of different things, what does it look like? Well, one beer, let's say a tall beer can or pint, and what most pubs would call it, contains 23 grams of alcohol. So you're looking at 2 hours, about 20 minutes to break that down in your body. That's one beer. One glass of red wine, a little less problematic here. 18 grams of alcohol. We're down to an hour 45. And your one shot of vodka or whatever liquor it would be is your 10 gram, and that's exactly 1 hour, obviously. So one shot, 1 ounce of liquor, 1 hour. So that martini, that's like a double or triple shot, will take you between 2 to 3 hours to break down. And what we mean is that basically your body stops all digestive functions and everything, and your liver just goes straight to breaking down the alcohol and getting rid of that first because it's considered poison by your body. Like it cannot do anything with it. So the alcohol will be uh, broken down, and then it goes into fatty tissues around the liver and so on. And it really doesn't do much to your body except be problematic down the road. The other thing to understand is that alcohol is crazy soluble in the body. It goes everywhere. It's fat soluble. It loves your brain. It loves all your fat cells, everything like that. It'll go through most parts of your body unimpaired. So you need to be careful because really it affects way more than you think. So a few things more about alcohol. As I said, I think we touched on that in the sleep section, but often people use alcohol to help themselves fall asleep, which is a big no-no really, because in the end, alcohol wreaks havoc on sleep. It prevents or reduces the effectiveness of REM sleep, and it robs the brain, therefore, and the body from crucial regenerative power. As I said, alcohol is extremely fat soluble and has almost free range as it courses through your body's many organs and fatty tissues, including your brain, because obviously your brain is made of mostly fatty tissues. The body identifies alcohol as poison and will therefore devote all resources to burning it off, effectively stopping the processing of the three other sources of calories. While it's doing that, you're not getting any energy really from anything because alcohol are empty calories. There is no energy available from those calories. All right, guys, so this is it for hydration. Um, as always, it's a very important, I think the hydration is incredibly important and yet often um, sort of put aside. We think, well, I'm fine. Obviously, I'm not dead yet, so I must be doing something right, and I must be drinking the right way still. But what we don't understand is, yeah, you may be alive, you may be functioning, and that's because thankfully there's also a lot of water in the food that you eat, not just from whatever you drink during the day. But there's a line between being fine and performing. And if you really want to push yourself to perform rather than just be fine, then hydration might be the place where you need to step up your game and really understand that how much impact it is having on your brain and physical performance if you get to work, if you get into that position and you're not ready, you're not hydrated, and you let then yourself get behind the curve, get fully very dehydrated over the long course of a flight or work because you don't think about drinking, you don't bring enough water and all these things. So if you had to pick between enough food or enough water, man, that would be a tough one for me. But I know that enough water is way more crucial than enough food, for my performance and my body to function properly. For say that 6 to 12 hour window, I can go without food, but water, I'll feel it really quick. So anyhow, as always, I'll leave review questions for you below in the description. If you have any comments of your own, feel free to leave them there and I will answer them. And next up, we will step into peak performance. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.